Your company has data everywhere. Product docs live in a vector store. Revenue numbers sit in a SQL database. The org chart is in a graph database. Customer records come from an API. A user asks, "What's our refund policy?" and Basic RAG searches the vector store. That works. But now someone asks, "What was Q3 revenue by segment?" The vector store has no idea. That question needs SQL. And who reports to the VP of engineering? That needs a graph query. Basic RAG sends every question to the same place. That's the problem. You need a router, something that reads the question, understands the intent, and sends it to the right data source. The LLM router is the most common approach. Here's how it works. A question comes in. You send it to an LLM with a system prompt that says, "Classify this question into one of these categories: vector search, SQL query, graph query, or API call." The LLM reads the question, understands the intent, and returns the category. Then your code routes to the right data source. Let's see 3 concrete examples. First, what's our refund policy? The LLM classifies this as unstructured text. It routes to the vector store, which searches your policy documents and returns the exact refund clause. Second, Q3 revenue by segment. The LLM classifies this as structured financial data. It routes to the SQL database. Your system generates the SQL query, executes it, and returns $2.4 million across 3 segments. Third, who reports to the VP of engineering? The LLM classifies this as an organizational relationship. It routes to the graph database. A cipher query traverses the org chart and returns the list of direct reports. Same router, 3 different questions, 3 different data sources. The LLM does the hard part, understanding what the user actually needs. The semantic router takes a different approach. Instead of asking an LLM to classify every question, you pre-compute embeddings for each route. Here's the setup. You define your routes. Vector search gets example phrases like "explain the refund policy" and "what does the user guide say?" SQL query gets revenue last quarter and total sales by region. Graph query gets who reports to and team structure. Each set of examples gets embedded and stored. Now a question comes in. You embed it using the same model. Then you compute cosine similarity against each route's embeddings. The highest score wins. For what's our refund policy? The vector search route scores 0.94. SQL scores 0.31. Graph scores 0.18. Route to vector store. No LLM call needed. This is faster and cheaper than the LLM router, but it's less flexible. If a question doesn't match any predefined pattern well, it can misroute. If you want to learn how to do this yourself, I run free live sessions every Friday at noon Eastern. Scan the QR code on screen to join. Would love to see you there. Some questions need data from multiple sources. Compare our refund policy with last quarter's refund volume. That question needs the policy document from the vector store and the refund totals from the SQL database. A single source router would pick one or the other. You'd get an incomplete answer. A multi-source router identifies all the data sources a question needs. The LLM tags the question with multiple intents: policy document plus financial data. The system queries both sources in parallel. The vector store returns the refund policy. The SQL database returns the refund volume breakdown. Both results get passed to the LLM together. Now it can write a complete answer that compares the policy against the actual numbers. The key insight: classify intents, not destinations. One question can have multiple intents that map to different data sources. When should you use which router? Use the LLM router when your questions are diverse and unpredictable. It handles edge cases well because it reasons about intent. The trade-off: it's slower and costs more per query. You're making an LLM call before you even start retrieving. Use the semantic router when your question patterns are well defined and you need speed. It's a single embedding plus a cosine similarity computation, sub-millisecond routing. The trade-off: it only works well for questions that match your predefined patterns. Use multi-source routing when your data is distributed and questions often span multiple sources. Start simple. One data source, no router needed. Two sources, add an LLM router. High traffic, switch to semantic. Complex queries, add multi-source. Build the routing layer that matches your actual complexity. That's the full picture. If you want to go deeper, join my free live session this Friday at noon Eastern on Maven. I walk through this hands-on, answer questions, and show you how to build it yourself. Scan the QR code to join.